Betrayed and fed to monsters, he wakes up exactly 1 week before the apocalypse. He raids a villain's secret base and finds a tunnel that's wetter and deeper than your favorite OnlyFans girls' DMs. But he finds more than loot. He accidentally grabs the Ice Queen's assets and transforms into a tyrant. Now, it's time to smash monsters and collect waifus. Let's go! The story begins in the year 2025, when a sudden meteor shower carrying a mysterious virus struck the Earth. Over 80% of the global population mutated into monsters that preyed on humans. However, a small fraction of the survivors awakened powerful abilities, eventually becoming the new rulers of this broken world. In a dark corner of this apocalypse, a group of thugs is beating a man they have tied up named Luo Hawa. They demand to know if anyone else is planning to escape with him. Their leader, a massive man, calls Luo trash, reminding him that he fed him, yet Luo still decided to run. The boss sneers that they all deserve to die, but Luo snaps back, declaring he would rather die than live under a devil like him. Luo adds that his only regret is trusting that female dog Anna because she was the reason their plan was exposed so quickly. Shocked, Anna stands up and slaps him across the face. She demands to know how he dares call her by her name, now that she is Lord Kwangtu's woman. Luo spits back that he never would have saved her when the world ended if he had known she would turn out like this. She simply calls him naive and turns to Lord Kwangtu, asking what they should do with this trash. Lord Kwangtu decides they need to get rid of him. He stands up, reminding Luo that ability users are the absolute rulers in this apocalypse. Kwangtu punches Luo with such devastating force that his body is flung backward, smashing through the wooden wall and plummeting several feet down to the ground below, where monsters wait to finish him off. Looking down from the opening, Anna asks Lord Kwangtu why he didn't just drain Luo with his power. Kwangtu replies that he can't be bothered to devour such low-level trash. As the monsters swarm and overpower Luo's limp body, he makes a final vow to himself. If he survives, he will kill every last one of these ability users. Burning with rage, Luo suddenly finds himself somewhere else, reacting to the pain of a fresh punch. It seems he is destined to live a hard life. The man who punched him warns him to stay away from Anna unless he wants his legs broken next. These guys look like classic story dirtbags, mafia wannabes with ill-fitting suits and potbellies. Luo has a what the F look on his face. He wonders how he is here when just moments ago he was a buffet for monsters. He looks down at his body and realizes there are no wounds. Furthermore, he isn't hungry. The starving feeling that had plagued him for months is gone. Confused about his location, he asks his assailant if he is with someone named Chang. The big guy lifts him up by his collar and snarls that he is the boss. Luo gets tired of the man's terrible breath, so he kicks him square in the face, knocking the big guy to the ground. The man starts coughing up blood and orders his men to rush Luo. The blockheads charge in to defend their boss, but Luo doesn't move an inch. He simply observes their sloppy movements, noticing every opening. He kicks the first attacker to the curb and effortlessly dodges the next big guy's swing. While fighting, Luo notices that these people don't look like they've survived an apocalypse at all. They're soft, which means they are jokers. He kicks the next guy in the neck, introducing his face to the nearby restroom door. With 3 guys down, one of the remaining 2 panics and suggests they retreat, but the other refuses, blinded by an overinflated ego. They charge at Luo from both sides. Luo grabs the guy holding a knife, twisting the weapon out of his hand. Immediately, the other attacker tries to club him with a baseball bat, but Luo grabs his arm and slams him into the ground using the force of his own weight. Luo tells the boss to get lost or die. The guy pleads and promises to leave, but the moment Luo looks down, the boss rushes in with his knife, thinking he spotted an opening. Blood spills, but not Luo's. It turns out to be the huge guy who gets his skull cracked with the bat. Luo wonders if this is a dream or if his life is flashing before his eyes. He pulls out his phone and is shocked to see the date, May 15th, 2025. It is exactly 1 week before the apocalypse breaks out. Doubting reality, he rushes to the window to look outside. Everything looks exactly as it did before the end of the world. A smile spreads across his face. He wasn't expecting a second chance like this. He is overjoyed to have returned to the week before the outbreak. He decides to stockpile enough supplies to guarantee his survival and correct the mistakes of his past life. Suddenly, a holographic screen appears, notifying him that a host has been detected. Surprised, he reads that something called the 10-cent evolution system has been automatically bound to him. His stats appear, evolution level 1, with 0% progress. Luo wonders what is going on. and the system explains that it can absorb external energy to help the host evolve and break through species limits. Luo asks if this means he can evolve into an immortal. The system replies that immortal is one way to put it, further explaining that it can convert collected energy into abilities. However, he is warned that converting energy into abilities consumes a massive amount of power. Excited, Luo decides to test the system. He goes to a nearby electrical box and starts absorbing the electrical energy. The lights in the building suddenly go out, leaving the occupants confused. Elsewhere, some schoolboys rejoice that they won't have to go to class because of the power outage. Meanwhile, Luo races out of the building, his entire body crackling with electric current. He runs past the two boys so fast they don't even see him, leaving them wondering what just breezed by. Luo realizes this new power isn't half bad, though the system warns him that he cannot use his abilities once his energy is depleted. He asks the system for his current evolution progress, just 2% after absorbing the whole school's electricity. The system explains that electricity is ordinary, low-level energy. He will need to absorb ability energy to level up quickly. Luo recalls that special abilities won't appear until next week, realizing it won't be easy to reach level 2 before then. Since there are 168 hours until the apocalypse begins, the system issues a survival preparation mission. Gather enough food, water, and weapons within 3 days to establish his starting capital. He is told to open the system map to see supply locations, and as a reward for the mission, the system storage is unlocked. Luo wonders what system storage is. The system explains that the storage can hold anything he touches, but with a catch, he requires the consent of a living thing to store it. Impressed, Luo opens the map. When he sees the first location, he realizes it is a place he knows like the back of his hand. The universe is finally smiling down on him. He promises to make all those who hurt him pay, and ensures history will never repeat itself. Later, Luo tracks down the supermarket on the map from memory. Once inside, he reminds himself that he has over 100 hours before the apocalypse, so he must collect enough supplies. Our devilish MC starts touching all the bread in the store, making it disappear into his storage. He goes around touching random food items, but the system notifies him that the mission is only 6% complete. This nearly makes him lose his mind. He'll never finish at this rate. He decides to ignore the small stuff because he didn't come here for the obvious supplies anyway. He remembers Chang Zhuang, so he heads toward a nearby room to take the high-value goods. Chang hid there because he knew those supplies would help him finish the mission. At the door, he sees two badass-looking guards who ask him what he's looking for. Luo doesn't reply. Instead, he covers his hand with electricity. The guys start cracking their knuckles, ready to beat the deafness out of Luo, but they are both immediately shocked by a wave of electricity. As Luo makes his way past them, the system warns that his energy reserve is below 5%. Inside, he blends into a crowd of people who seem to be having a party. Suddenly, a lady standing nearby calls out his name. She comes over and hugs his arm, asking what he is doing in such an unexpected place. Luo is surprised to find Anna here. He tenses up, wondering why he had to run into this female dog in a place like this. Unlike her future devilish demeanor, Anna pleads with him to leave because it is dangerous. She informs him that her classmate tricked her into playing cards. She lost 200,000 yuan in just 3 rounds, and now they won't let her leave. Luo doesn't want to hear any of her crap. One of the bouncers approaches, asking if he is trying to play the hero, and tells Luo that if he wants to help, he can pay off her 200,000 yuan debt. Luo gets a beautiful idea. Anna asks if he can lend her the money so the men will let her go, but he just smiles and pushes her hands away. Much to her surprise, he explains to the men that he didn't mean to meddle. He tells them to enjoy themselves and promptly escapes. Anna is disappointed, but the guard behind her laughs, reminding her that she said the simp would help pay her gambling debt. Anna explains that Luo wasn't like that before, and guesses she just wasn't charming enough today. Eventually, a guy named Xiao appears. He tells the guard to send a few people to keep an eye on Luo, noting that it is weird for a student to suddenly appear here. Xiao remembers looking into Luo's eyes and getting a chilling feeling. The kid looked like someone who had killed before. He wonders if he's just being paranoid. Meanwhile, Luo notices men scanning the crowd for him and realizes he's been marked. He blames Anna for this mess. He quickly recognizes the man who spotted him, Xiao Yujin, also known as Viper, one of Chang Shudong's 4 kings. Luo knows that despite his thug-like appearance, Xiao possesses a sharp mind. He is Chang's chief strategist. Nearby, one of the guards questions why their boss is acting so paranoid over a single student. His partner replies that Xiao made it this far precisely because he is cautious. Luo assesses his situation and realizes he only has enough power left for one decisive strike. He rushes out at the men. Before they can figure out what is happening, he electrocutes both of them, frying their brains to end the fight instantly. With the guards down, he tries to sneak into the basement quietly, but a cold gun barrel is suddenly pressed against his head. A voice whispers that Boss Xiao was right after all. Luo freezes, shocked, as the gunman tells him he is in big trouble. Up in the casino, Waitress looks around in alarm, sure she heard the muffled sound of gunshots. One of Xiao's men immediately steps in to silence the room, announcing that the store is temporarily closed due to an unexpected incident. They usher everyone out through the front door. Once the civilians are clear, the guard goes to inform Xiao. Xiao notes that the kid acted suspiciously from the start and is glad he prepared a backup plan. He says he trusts the methods of Poin, the gunman he sent to intercept Luo, but he hopes Poin keeps the kid alive so they can find out who he really is. In the basement hallway, Luo glances back at the bullet hole in the wall, Poin's warning shot, proof that he isn't playing around. Poin orders him to turn around with his hands on his head and warns him not to try any tricks, unless he wants the next shot to go through his skull. Luo recognizes Poin immediately, triggering a flashback to his past life. In that timeline, Luo was starving, having given all his food to Anna. As he clutched his stomach, in pain, Poin approached and threw him some food, saving him from starvation. Poin had told him to come collect supplies with him from then on, a gesture that saved Luo's life. Back in the present, Luo realizes he owes Poin a debt and didn't expect to meet him again under these circumstances. He stares at the gunman in surprise. Poin barks at him to turn around and stop staring. Luo tries to talk his way out of it, claiming he just got lost and slipped into the bathroom, but Poin isn't buying it. He tells Luo his job is to put a hole in his head. Luo can save his excuses for Xiao. Luo sighs, feigning resignation, but his eyes lock onto a nearby electrical switch box. As he moves forward, he slaps his hand onto it and begins to violently suck the power from the entire building. He thinks to himself that Poin really is unlucky. The lights in the casino suddenly die, plunging everyone into darkness. Confusion spreads, and Xiao barks orders for his men to fix the power. He commands the others to guard the main entrance and watch for ambushes, suspecting the boy might just be a decoy for a larger attack. In the dark hallway, Poin fires at Luo, but Luo was already moving at lightning speed, supercharged by the absorbed electricity. Poin is stunned by his target's swift movements, wondering if the kid is even human. As Luo rushes him, Poin triggers a spring-loaded dagger hidden in his sleeve and swipes, nearly stabbing him. Luo leaps out of the way just in time. Luo jokes that Poin almost killed him, adding that he knew Poin would be hiding a dagger in his left arm. Poin is baffled, wondering how this stranger knows his fighting style. Luo realizes that Xiao likely sent backup the moment he heard the gunshot, so he has no time for a reunion. Luo lights up, his body wreathed in electric current. As Poin aims his gun, Luo vanishes from his sight. Luo reappears instantly behind him. As Poin spins around to stab him, Luo grabs his wrist and blasts him with electricity. Suddenly, sparks from the discharge ignite a gas line nearby. The room explodes, the ceiling collapsing on top of them. Luo wonders what happened. Did his lightning hit a leak? Even though he had absorbed the casino's entire electrical supply, he was forced to expend it all just to shield himself from the explosion. As the smoke clears, he notices the blast has ripped a massive hole in the floor. It's an unexpected bonus. The explosion has exposed a hidden entrance to a lower basement level he didn't know existed. As Luo moves toward the hole, Poin stirs. He realizes the explosion was Luo's doing, and groggily asks why Luo didn't kill him when he had the chance. Luo just stares at him. When he doesn't answer, Poin offers a piece of advice. Luo's little tricks won't hold a candle to the real boss, Chang Dong. Luo simply electrocutes Poin again, knocking him out cold. He notes that it's expected of a former Wolf Squad captain to remain conscious after the first shock. With Poin down, Luo jumps into the newly revealed basement, muttering that there is nothing to discuss regarding Chang Dong, since the man will be dead soon anyway. Upstairs, Xiao is informed that the pipeline at the back of the hallway exploded. He asks about Poin and is told the gunman was found unconscious. Xiao falls into deep thought. Beside him, Anna starts whining that the loud noise scared her and she twisted her back. Xiao hisses in annoyance and slaps her across the face to shut her up. Shocked, Anna asks what is wrong. Xiao asks if she thinks he is stupid. She called Luo a simpleton. Yet that simpleton just took down Chang's #1 fighter. Xiao orders his men to tie her up. Anna pleads that it's a misunderstanding, insisting she doesn't know anything and isn't. Close to Luo, Xiao ignores her and orders the rest of the men to follow him. The guards are confused, asking why they are heading toward the secure area when the explosion happened in the bathroom. Xiao snaps that the kid's target is definitely the storage vault. Meanwhile, Luo reaches the entrance of the vault. He kicks the door open and descends the stairs. He realizes this is the rumored underground warehouse, but it's far larger than he imagined. It's practically an underground fortress. He sees stockpiles of emergency food, water, clothing, solar panels, and even an armory. He wonders what Chang Shudong is planning. Luo goes crazy, like a kid in a candy store, and starts absorbing items left and right until his mission completion hits 77%. Suddenly, he spots a pile of shiny crystals and freezes. He remembers that these energy stones only appeared after the apocalypse. He wonders why they are here now. He realizes Chang's bunker preparation is clearly for the apocalypse, implying that either it's a coincidence or there was a secret in his past life he never knew about. After thinking it over, he decides to ignore the mystery for now. He goes into hoarding mode, grabbing the stones like they are precious treasure. He tries to absorb the stones to awaken his powers early, but the system intervenes, informing him that energy stone absorption is currently disabled because he possesses the system. Frustrated that his bubble has been burst, he laments the restriction but decides to stash the stones in his inventory to research later. Once he collects everything, the notification chimes, Doomsday Survival Preparation Task 100% complete. He receives a reward, energy conversion. Luo asks if this is different from absorbing electricity directly. The system explains that energy conversion allows the host to convert any matter or energy into power with zero loss. Luo's simple brain interprets this as a plus version of his previous power. The system agrees that this is a valid interpretation. With the task done, Luo considers looting the other rooms, but Xiao has found him. Xiao's men pour into the corridor, pointing their guns at Luo. Xiao sneers, calling him a pesky little mouse trapped in a hole. He orders his men to kill him. Luo jumps out of sight with supernatural speed. A moment later, the men look around in confusion. One reports that they can't find anyone else, and more importantly, the room is empty. Xiao can't believe his eyes. All the supplies are gone. The exits were sealed, and the walls are intact. He wonders how Luo moved everything in such a short time and questions if the boy is one of them. He tells his men to stay alert and not let the kid leave alive. In the shadows, Luo realizes he got too cocky and wasted too much time scavenging the massive bunker. The guards have heavy firepower, but he's glad he found a dark corner to hide in. He decides to wait for them to get close so he can ambush them. Unfortunately, Luo forgot the old saying, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. The guards flank him, entering through the back door and spotting him immediately. Luo realizes he is cooked. With no other choice, he speed runs toward them, going all in to test the limits of his new power. Loving this recap? Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to join the community. Your support is what motivates us to make more. As the guards open fire, they are shocked by how fast Luo moves. A bullet grazes his palm, drawing blood. But suddenly, a grotesque monster-like mouth emerges from the wound on his hand. Luo wonders if this is the manifestation of his energy conversion power. He retreats, leaving the guard wondering if he actually hit him, while the other guard can't fathom the crazy he just witnessed. The system notifies Luo, energy transfer complete. Without hesitation, Luo kicks the guard in the face, releasing the kinetic energy of a flying bullet. He is surprised that he was able to convert the bullet's impact into physical force, but his mind quickly wanders to a more pressing concern, how to get rid of the strange mouth. He wonders if he'll always have a mouth on his hand, like the guy from the anime Parasite, which would be a total nightmare the next time he tries to beat his meat. More reinforcements appear behind him. One guard yells that he's going to kill Luo, but his partner warns him not to let his guard down because Luo managed to take out Po Jun. The first guard insists there is nothing to be afraid of, the kid is cornered, but Luo turns toward them, raising a hand that now sports a devilish grin. Freaked out, the guards start spraying bullets because the situation has officially hit the fan. Luo stands his ground, absorbing the kinetic energy from every round that hits his hands. Once charged, he returns the favor, landing a kick on one guard's face with the stopping power of a gunshot. The other men start losing their composure. Luo realizes these guys haven't seen mutants yet, since the apocalypse hasn't technically started. He grabs their guns, forcing the barrels against his palms, and lets them empty their clips directly into his hands. The men scream, pleading for him to stay away. When their guns click empty, Luo swings the weapons like clubs, slamming both men against the wall. As Luo expels the absorbed energy, the cracks in his palms seal up. He sighs. In relief, he really didn't want to walk around with two mouths on his hands for the rest of his life. While he wonders if he can use this power for more than just kinetic conversion and strength enhancement, a sniper takes aim from a higher vantage point. A shot rings out, and Luo is hit. The sniper reports to the others that the hit is confirmed and the target should be down. However, a sudden noise makes the sniper pause. He looks through his scope and sees Luo leaping toward them from a massive distance, vengeance burning in his eyes. Luo crashes into their position, knocking several men down to the lower floor. He curses at the sniper. The bullet actually hurt. The men are shocked but try not to panic, thinking Luo is just one man. They fail to consider that he just face-tanked a sniper round. Luo is glad he tested using the absorbed energy to reinforce his body. Otherwise, that shot would have killed him. Unsure if there are more ambushes, he decides to escape quickly. The men open fire again. Luo uses his hands to absorb the barrage, converting all the energy and releasing it in a single burst. He charges through the group, scattering them like billiard balls. As the men lie unconscious, Xiao appears behind him. "You little punk," Xiao sneers. "So you're one of those types too." Having seen Luo make bullets and matter disappear, Xiao asks if he possesses a teleportation ability. Luo responds by kicking him and telling him to get lost. To his surprise, Xiao catches the kick with a mutated metallic arm. He smirks, telling Luo his kick is quite soft. Xiao's arm expands, growing massive as he prepares to crush Luo. "Time to die," he growls. At this point, Luo realizes he is screwed up. Xiao covers his entire body with a massive arm and slams down, crushing Luo until blood spews from his mouth. Shocked, Luo uses his electric speed to escape the hold. He retreats, his mind racing. How does this guy already have powers before the apocalypse? Is it related to the energy stones in the bunker? Xiao stomps on him again with the giant hand. Luo quickly uses energy absorption to mitigate the hit, but the force knocks him back. He realizes absorption can't fully cancel out an attack this heavy. He never saw Xiao use powers like this in his past life, and wonders if the man had been hiding his strength all along. Xiao dusts himself off. "I don't care who sent you," he says, "but stepping into this place is a death sentence." He pauses, looking Luo over. "However, I treasure talent and rare powers. Return everything you stole, beg for forgiveness, and swear loyalty to me, and I might let this slide." Luo laughs. "You're hilarious. I'm not giving anything back." "Then I'll take your corpse and report back to Lord Chang," Xiao replies. He lunges at Luo. Luo realizes that Xiao's metal power is both offensive and defensive. Spreading his energy out won't even scratch him. Luo charges up a punch with the last of his reserves, deciding to focus all the energy into a single point. He strikes, shattering Xiao's metallic hand into bits. The old man is stunned. Luo grabs him by the throat and lifts him up. "What is wrong with your power?" Xiao wheezes. "Your strength keeps fluctuating. Are you trying to trick me?" Luo ignores the question. "How did you get your powers?" Xiao just laughs. "You have powers, yet you don't even know where they come from." When Xiao refuses to speak, Luo tightens his grip. "Fine, take your little secret to hell. Think this through," Xiao gasps. "We can still talk business. Lord Chang won't let you go if you dare lay a finger on me." Luo drops him. Amused, Xiao assumes Luo is afraid of Lord Chang, but Luo simply prepares to deliver a finishing blow. "Wait a little longer at the bridge to the afterlife," Luo says coldly. "Lord Chang will be joining you soon." Before Luo can strike, Po Jun suddenly rushes in, blocking the path with a blade to protect Xiao. Shocked, Luo yells, "Get out of the way! You can't meddle in this. You'll get killed." Po Jun is trembling, but he holds his ground. "I can't let Xiao Yujin die yet." Luo hesitates. "What did they use to threaten you?" Po Jun doesn't reply. Nearby, Xiao cackles, commending Po Jun for his timing. "I'll make sure to credit you when I report this to Lord Chang," Xiao says. "I might even be merciful enough to let your wife and daughter go." Hearing that, Luo calls Xiao despicable. Xiao takes it as a compliment. Actually, Xiao sneers, looking at both of them. "You're both trash. I can't let you live now that you've seen me in this form." Xiao encases himself entirely in his metallic shell. "Don't worry, Po Jun. I'll put in a good word for you with Lord Chang after you're dead." Luo hears a distinct click. He looks up and sees grenades dropping toward them. "Trouble," he mutters. The grenades detonate one by one, tearing the room apart. In a split second, Luo punches a hole in the floor and drags himself and Po-jun through it just as the explosion consumes the level above. They land hard on the concrete below. Luo wasn't entirely sure he remembered correctly, but he is relieved to find there really is another sublevel beneath the casino. He looks at Po-jun and thinks about how inhuman Xiao is to hold his own men's families hostage. Po-jun stands up, groaning. He confesses he didn't know this place existed and asks how Luo knew about it. For a moment, the two men look at each other in silence. Po-jun breaks the ice. I have no reason to fight you now that Xiao isn't here. Luo turns to walk away, angry that he failed to finish off that fool Xiao. Wait, Po-jun calls out. Xiao can't die yet. Not until I find out where he locked up my wife and daughter. He looks at Luo. And you need to treat your wounds fast or you'll lose your eyes and legs. Po-jun takes a breath. You've saved my life twice now, taking the brunt of that explosion. I don't have a way to repay this kindness. He looks Luo in the eye. But I promise to give you my life in return if you help me find my family. Luo finds it amusing. Po-jun acts like the protagonist of a soldier-turned-king novel, even before the apocalypse has officially started. I'm not interested in your life, Luo says, dismissing the drama. He focuses on treating his own injuries. You need to get out of here, Po-jun insists. There are no medical supplies down here. Luo simply waves his hand, and medical supplies appear out of thin air. Po-jun stares, dumbfounded. Is that an ability? Was Xiao's strange appearance earlier an ability too? Luo looks at him confused. Xiao didn't tell you. Then he realizes why would they share that kind of intel with a flunky they had to blackmail. He remembers that the apocalypse hasn't started yet. It's normal for Po-jun to be in the dark. Luo tosses some bandages to him. Here, treat your wounds. Po-jun catches them, still confused. Why are you helping me? I tried to kill you just minutes ago. I can't afford to die here, Luo replies. And if you want to find your family, neither can you. I know the layout of this lowest level. Let's search together. Your family might be down here. Po-jun nods, looking at the bandages. I'm sorry for shooting at you earlier, he says quietly. I thought you were here for a double cross. I didn't realize you weren't with them at all. Po-jun says it's amazing to find out he's a good guy. In response, Luo laughed maniacally, declaring that he planned to loot all 3 underground levels clean before going off to find his family. Po-jun cringed at the display, asking why Luo had to ruin the moment with his weirdness. As they walked, Po-jun wondered aloud why the layout was so strange. A casino under the supermarket, a warehouse under the casino, and now a tunnel even deeper than that. He couldn't fathom what Chang was planning. They seemed to be trekking through a long sewer tunnel, but Luo assured him they were close. They soon reached a heavy entrance. Po-jun asked what this place was. Meanwhile, Luo realized things were exactly as he had suspected. In his previous life, after the apocalypse, Chang had used this place to imprison anyone who disobeyed him, even living down here himself for a time. Judging by the rusted iron doors, Luo realized the facility had been in use long before the apocalypse began. When he considered the power stones, the warehouse, and the labyrinth of underground rooms, he realized Chang was a true monster. Eventually, he suggested to Po-jun that they loot this place first. As they entered, they heard the sound of sobbing. Po-jun was shocked to realize this was a prison where Chang hid people. He approached one of the cell doors to ask if the people inside were all right, asking what this place was and what had happened to them. One of the prisoners begged him to kill her, sobbing that she didn't want to turn into a monster. Confused, Po-jun asked what she meant and if she had seen a young woman with a child. However, Luo told Po-jun to save the questions for later because they had something else to deal with. From a nearby door, a loud thumping sound echoed. The monster behind it soon wrenched the heavy door open, and Luo found himself staring at a monstrosity covered in multiple eyes. Suddenly, a horde of similar creatures poured out through the breach. Luo wondered where these mutants were coming from, when the apocalypse hadn't even officially begun yet. He realized they were in trouble. He had already used up most of his energy blocking the explosion earlier, but the monsters didn't care about his fatigue. While Po-jun stood frozen, wondering what the hell was going on, Luo realized he couldn't just run away. There were still girls locked up in the cells. He considered trying to lure the monsters away. Suddenly, Po-jun pulled out his gun, blew the head off one of the monsters, and started firing frantically. He quickly ran out of bullets. Luo grabbed him and pulled him out of the way just before he became monster food. Shocked, Po-jun shouted, asking what these things were. Luo explained they were low-level mutants and told him to stay calm because bullets wouldn't do much against them. He warned Po Jun to stop shooting, as the noise was only attracting more of them. He told him he might have another way. Flashback. In a time after the apocalypse had started, a group of men were trying to defend an area from a wave of monsters. One of them asked if there was any news from the base camp. He was told they had orders to hold out a bit longer. The man was shocked. They would be buried in mutant corpses if reinforcements didn't come soon. This man was the Warlord Corps commander, an A-rank enhancement ability user named Xiao Zhantian. He wondered how the fools at camp could tell them to hold the line against such a massive tide of beasts. While they fought, the men suddenly noticed a strange light in the sky. Xiao was relieved, thinking reinforcements had finally arrived. Suddenly, a massive blast of ice struck the monsters below. Shen, the Ice Queen, appeared wielding an ice sword. The soldier who had reported to Xiao was surprised they had sent just one woman to help, but Xiao told him to shut up if he didn't want to die. He couldn't believe those old guys had actually let this goddess come out to the field. The other soldier wondered if she was really as legendary as people said. He watched in awe as she took out all the remaining mutants with a single strike. The soldiers began to cheer and praise her for saving them. Shen left the stragglers to the men, figuring they could handle the rest. However, she was troubled. She wondered why a beast tide had appeared so close to the camp. Suddenly, another monster appeared and crushed the life out of a nearby soldier. Shen was shocked to see the monster known as Haphis. She screamed for the men to retreat immediately because they couldn't handle this one. Xiao ordered his men to run for their lives. Shen knew that Haphis was a Lord-class mutant. She wondered if it was the one that had created the beast tide, and if this was all a trap. With no choice but to fight, she rushed toward the monster. Sometime later, she woke up. She looked around and noticed bandages wrapped around her body. Her wounds had been dressed. Her last memory was fighting the Lord-class monster, and she was surprised she had survived. She wondered where she was and who had taken off her clothes. Next to her, Luo asked if she was finally awake. He told her he had found her collapsed while he was out scavenging. He asked how she got so badly hurt and offered her some rare canned food he had found. Present-day Po Jun had been knocked backward into a vat of mutating liquid and seemed to have swallowed a mouthful of it. Meanwhile, Luo remembered that he hadn't seen Shen after she recovered from that injury in his past life. He wondered why she was here, in one of Chang's facilities. Shen, looking bizarre and unstable, began to complain about her head hurting. Her breath turned into frosty mist as she screamed in pain, unleashing a wave of ice to kill everyone in the room. Luo realized she was trying to destroy the entire place. He wondered if she had gone insane and shouted her full name. He dodged the ice attack, desperate to stop her, if this building collapsed. While they were this deep underground, none of them would survive. He got close, asking if she was trying to get them all killed, and told her to calm down. In the chaos, he accidentally touched her chest. When he realized what he had done, he jumped back in shock, apologizing profusely and insisting that wasn't what he meant. This only made her angrier. She tried to turn him into a human pincushion with ice spikes. Luo grabbed one of the spikes and used the monstrous mouth on his hand to absorb its energy. He quickly used the absorbed energy to blast away her next attack. He shouted, asking if she had lost her mind, and told her to calm down before electrocuting her. When she finally passed out, Luo rushed to check on Po Jun, who had fallen into the tank of mutant liquid. Hearing no sound, he concluded it was over for him. He dragged Po Jun out, and to his surprise, Po Jun started coughing. Luo was shocked he was still breathing. Since Po Jun had soaked in the liquid for so long, Luo considered finishing him off right there before he mutated and teamed up with the crazy ice woman. However, he changed his mind, remembering from his past life that Po Jun should be fine and would likely develop abilities. He decided to leave him for now and deal with Shen. He looked around for something to tie her up with, not realizing she was already getting back up. When she rose, she went into another rage. Luo wondered how she recovered so fast. This time, her face transformed into that of an ice beast. Luo realized her ice armor must have made his electrocution less effective. She attacked him with another wave of ice. He blasted through it with his bullet kick. Enraged, Shen roared and fired ice arrows at his face. Luo quickly absorbed them with his hand and jumped back. He realized this battle was endless. As Shen continued trying to kill him, he noticed her appearance was mutating further. He realized that if he didn't stop this, she would fully become a mutant and never be able to turn back. But he was stuck. Electrical attacks weren't working, and his energy kicks couldn't get close enough. Suddenly, the system prompted him to consider unlocking the genetic lock. He asked the system what that meant. Before he could finish reading the screen, Shen pierced it with another barrage of ice, startling him. He fell backward, tripping over Po Jun, and was blasted by a series of ice attacks that knocked him into the pool of mutant liquid. Submerged, he saw the genetic lock screen again. It showed progress at 10%. He wondered if this was a mission reward. The text explained that the genetic lock skill allowed him to devour viruses to enhance his strength. It asked if he wanted to unlock the skill. Luo wondered where he was expected to find a large amount of virus at such a critical moment. Before realizing he was literally gurgling in a sea of it, he decided to activate the skill. A whirlpool of energy erupted from the mutant liquid pool, startling Shen. Shen realizes that stuff just got real when Luo breaks out like Aang while he's in avatar mode. Luo comes out with a devilishly badass-looking form, and his eyes appear to have mutated. He looks at his new form and doesn't know what to think of it. Suddenly, Luo started to freak out, terrified that he had permanently become a mutant. Even though he was still conscious, the reality set in. If the camp saw him looking like this after the apocalypse, they would execute him on the spot without hesitation. But before he could dwell on it, he glanced to the side just as Shen rained a literal mountain of ice down on him. Somehow, Luo managed to catch the massive ice formation with one hand, saving Po Jun from being crushed underneath. As he held up the weight, he wondered if he would ever be able to change back. When Shen saw him holding back her attack with a single hand, she screamed in horror and roared like a monster. She immediately targeted him with ice spears again, shrieking for him to die. Luo blocked the barrage of ice effortlessly with one hand. He decided he needed to deal with Shen first before worrying about reverting his form. When he realized he could block her attacks just by raising his arm, he figured his strength and defense must have leveled up significantly, which was awesome. He rushed out to meet her, asking if she was Shen Yuji, but she didn't answer. She just kept breathing heavily, like a wild animal. He wondered if she could still understand human speech, but she simply charged at him maniacally. She tried to crush him with her ice-reinforced hands, but Luo blocked the strike one-handed, which seemed to catch Shen off guard. She jumped backward to blast him again, but Luo, getting annoyed, began to pound on the wall of ice she had erected in front of her. He shouted for her to calm down as he smashed through the barrier, telling her he was only trying to help. He landed a solid punch in her gut, and she collapsed flat on the ground. As she dropped, her armor dissipated. Luo immediately went back to worrying about whether he could turn back from his mutant form. He decided to cover her up first, wondering why she was naked again, just like the first time he met her during the apocalypse. Suddenly, Luo collapsed, surprised to find himself unable to move. Intense pain washed over him, and he instantly regretted that the system hadn't warned him about the side effects of this form. He realized this was bad. He hadn't managed to tie up Shen or Po Jun before they woke up. Unable to fight it, he passed out. Soon after, Shen woke up to find Luo drooling by her side. Confused, she covered herself up, wondering what on earth was going on. Later, Luo woke up with his head on Shen's lap. She asked him if he was awake. When he saw her, he angrily tried to sit up, but she told him not to move and to lie down a bit longer because he was still injured. From the angle he was lying in, he could see her smile in her chest, causing him to blush. Eventually, he asked when she had regained consciousness. She explained that she had been conscious the whole time, even while they were fighting, but it felt like something else had taken over her body. She thanked him for saving her. She then asked if they had met before because he seemed familiar, leaving Luo stunned. He quickly sat up and asked her if she had also come back from the post-apocalypse future, but she looked confused and asked what he was talking about. Luo quickly backtracked, saying he was just rambling. He realized he needed to pay close attention to see if anyone else had returned from the past apocalypse. Changing the subject, he asked how she got caught by Chang and why she was in this place. Shen didn't seem to know who Chang was. She explained that she had been brought here tied up. She said she couldn't remember anything, but while her body was being controlled, she recalled hearing the people who took her refer to themselves as Chaos. This intrigued Luo. He had never heard of an organization by that name in his past life. He wondered if Chaos was using Chang's place and how they were connected. Shen added that the organization was deeply hidden and their methods were extraordinary, but she was just glad Luo had wrecked the place and woken her up. She suddenly jumped on him to hug him, promising to follow him from now on. But Luo had no idea what she was talking about. He pushed her away, telling her she was overthinking things if she wanted to hide behind him to avoid the Chaos group. He turned his back, saying he'd get dragged into it if they came for her again, and he wasn't looking to mess with some random organization. He claimed he had other things to do, though he couldn't believe he had just pushed away such a beautiful woman. He reminded himself that thanks to Anna, his PTSD regarding women was acting up. Shen persisted, admitting she had really thought about revenge. She said she would have just become their killing machine if he hadn't woken her up. She confessed that she couldn't remember her name or background anymore. All she had left was a sense of familiarity and warmth from him. She asked him where else she could go if she didn't follow him. Luo took everything she was saying with a grain of salt due to his terrible past experience with women. He wondered why she had amnesia, but also considered that she would be a huge asset for him considering how strong she would become. He also figured that Chaos and Chang must be connected in some way since they were using his base. Eventually, Luo told Shen that it was fine for her to tag along, as long as she followed his orders. She became excited and rushed to hug him, moving so quickly that she tackled him to the ground. In a seductive tone, she grabbed his face and said she would definitely behave and listen. Just then, Po Jun rushed forward to rescue Luo, trying to stab Shen in the head for ambushing him. However, Shen froze Po Jun's arm instantly, almost poking his eyes out with an ice sword she manifested. Luo shouted for them to stop and explained to Po Jun that she wasn't an enemy. When Po Jun asked who the girl was, Luo said it was a long story, but she was with them from now on. He then asked Po Jun if he noticed anything weird after soaking in that solution. Po Jun told him he didn't notice anything. After a moment of silence, Luo told him he would probably mutate later, so he'd just kill him then, but told him to go clean up for now. Po Jun was terrified by how Luo could say such scary things with a straight face. Luo grabbed some clothes he had looted from the supermarket from his system storage and handed them to both of them. Shen immediately started to change right in front of them, shocking both men. Luo quickly pushed her into the hallway so she could change there. Meanwhile, Po Jun stood there with his frozen hand, asking how he was supposed to resolve that. When they returned to the prison area, Shen broke open one of the doors and told the girls not to be afraid because they were safe now. When she let them out, she explained to them that those who wanted to leave could go now. But she suggested staying, knowing some of them didn't have anywhere else to go. Behind her, Po Jun asked Luo if what he said about the end of the world was true. Luo asked him how he could still be in doubt when he had just seen him pull items out of a void. Po Jun realized that was true. So Po Jun explained that he might need to say goodbye to him for now, because there was still some time left. Luo realized he was planning to find his wife and children in the next few days. Luo remembered that Po Jun had never mentioned having a child and wife in his past life. Because of that, Luo pulled out an armory of guns and threw them at him, telling him that going out without them would be suicide. Luo told Po Jun that this dungeon was perfect for surviving the impact of the apocalypse, and he was sure wherever Xiao was hiding his family would be the same. He assured him they would be fine. He suggested Po Jun spend the next few days training those girls and fixing up the dungeon because they needed to prepare. Well, Chang wouldn't let this attack slide. He also said that when the time came to deal with the issue of his family, he was going to take him personally. Sometime later, Master Chang was commending a guy named Oh Yang because he did well this time. Oh Yang, who looked like a typical bootlicker, said he personally handled Master Chang's orders for the goods, so there was nothing to worry about because he delivered everything without missing a single thing. Eventually, Chang asked him if he secretly looked at this batch of goods, and Oh Yang asked Master Chang if he was joking. Chang told him he wasn't, ordering Oh Yang to turn around and take a look. When Oh Yang looked behind him, he saw dozens of people kept locked up in vials filled with mutant liquid. Chang announced that these people were the foundation stones of his new world, but Oh Yang wondered if these were really people because of their monstrous appearance. So he asked Chang what these things were. Chang twisted his neck with one hand because he was asking too many questions. He added that only the dead can keep secrets in trash like this, would have had a hard time surviving in the apocalypse anyway. Just then, Zhou showed up. Chang asked him what he was doing here instead of watching the casino. But Zhou started to sweat profusely and explained that the casino and the warehouse were raided, they lost everything and a lot of men. He explained that some kid went straight for the warehouse, and he didn't know where the intel leaked from. Chang was shocked that just one kid could do that. So, he asked Zhou how he could dare to come see him alive. Just as Chang was about to land the punch, Zhou hurriedly explained that the kid used some strange spatial ability. He begged Chang to let Mad Leopard accompany him, promising that together they would capture the kid. Intrigued, Chang stopped his punch midway to ask about this spatial ability. However, the shockwave from the halted punch still obliterated the wall behind Zhou, causing building materials to rain down several floors onto the street below. Zhou was just relieved he wasn't the one blown out of the building. Chang told him that Judgment Day was almost here and ordered Joe to stay put for the next few days until it passed. After that, he would send him out with Mad Leopard to bring back the kid, dead or alive. Chang reminded Joe that he didn't need to emphasize how critical the warehouse supplies and the subjects in the lab were for the new world. He warned Joe to think carefully about the consequences if he messed this up again. Later, Chang pondered the spatial abilities Joe had mentioned. He wondered if this new kid was a monkey that had escaped from another lab, but he found the idea interesting. Several days later, a barrage of asteroids crashed into the planet's satellites and broke through the Earth's atmosphere. The apocalypse arrived exactly as scheduled. The meteors destroyed countless buildings. Safe inside their bunker, Joe watched the destruction unfold on TV. He asked Chang if this was the Judgment Day he had spoken of. Chang replied that it was still early, this was nothing yet. Meanwhile, in one of the destroyed buildings, a survivor wondered what was happening. He saw another man walking around and figured he must have survived the impact too. He rushed over to ask if the guy was okay, but when the man turned around, he revealed a monstrous mutated face. The survivor tumbled backward in terror. Before he could process what was happening, the mutant leaped onto him and started clawing his face off. Everywhere else, people began turning into mutants, and the entire city descended into chaos. Luo and his group felt the impact of the earthquakes as the asteroids slammed into the earth. When the girls began to panic, Po Jun stepped up to calm them down. He reminded them that Luo had predicted this apocalypse and ordered them to stick to their training. While Po Jun managed the group, Shen, who was walking around in little more than a swimsuit, wondered how Luo could have possibly known all this was going to happen. Amidst the chaos, Luo asked the system to show him his status panel. At this point, his evolution had reached 10%. He had unlocked 3 skills: energy conversion, bullet flying kick, and lightning swift. He noticed that all his attributes had increased by more than 3 times after unlocking the genetic lock. He figured that should be enough to survive for now. Suddenly, the system informed him of an emergency mission following the apocalypse start. For the next 24 hours, all mutants would have maximum hostility toward him, and every mutant in the vicinity would target him specifically. The system activated the mission. Luo accepted it immediately. The system warned him that a massive amount of mutant energy had been detected nearby, and the others in the room were shocked to hear heavy footsteps approaching. The system reminded Luo to survive. Luo headed out to face the monsters, who lunged at him as if he were their long-lost cousin. Unfazed, Luo told everyone to act according to the plan. Shen acknowledged the order and sealed the entrance with ice so the monsters couldn't escape. Suddenly, the monsters realized that they were the prey as Luo surrounded his body with fiery chains. He remembered how pathetically he had died in his previous life, and vowed to change things this time. As Luo's form began to change, Shen recognized the strange aura. It was the same power that had forced her mutant form to retreat earlier. She realized it was like a higher mutant class. Luo told himself that he would win everything in this life until he stood at the pinnacle of the world. His eyes lit up and he began the hunt. Luo told the monsters that their crystal cores would be worth more than gold from now on. However, he was suddenly shocked to notice he had transformed only one hand into a monstrous claw. He demanded to know why the system hadn't warned him about a half-form transformation. Seeing his hesitation, the monsters moved closer. Luo asked them to hold on a second while he clarified things with his lousy system, but they ignored him and pounced. As they ambushed him, Shen looked on with worry. Suddenly, a mouth formed on Luo's monstrous hand and consumed one of the monsters whole. Luo got annoyed because the hand wasn't under his control. He warned the hand to stop acting on its own and demanded the system explain what was happening. The system replied that he was absorbing large amounts of crystal core energy and was eligible to upgrade to a new system version. To Luo's horror, the system added that it would be upgrading immediately and would be temporarily unresponsive. Luo started to freak out, telling the system not to upgrade in the middle of a fight, but the system shut down anyway. "Why couldn't you wait until I finished this wave?" Luo yelled. The monsters began to crush him under their weight. Enraged, Luo destroyed the mutants around him with his massive hand. Suddenly, tendrils sprouted from his body and started gobbling up the crystal cores from the mutant corpses. Luo noticed that the more the hand devoured the cores, the fuzzier his mind became. He wondered if his sudden anger was due to the hand's influence. Meanwhile, the ladies asked Po Jun why Boss Luo had stopped moving and if something was wrong. Shen decided Luo needed help, but her attention was pulled away when the ice door was shattered by a fresh wave of monsters. They rushed into the building, threatening to overwhelm the group. Shen swung into action to help, but Luo warned her to stay back because he couldn't control himself. Miles away, Zhou noticed that all the creatures in the area were gathering near the casino. Chang found it odd, noting that mutants didn't usually congregate like that. Zhou wondered if the kid knew about Judgment Day and had done something to lure them there purposely. Back inside the bunker, Luo realized they might be doomed. But just then, the system informed him that the update was complete. A strange, explosive energy burst from Luo's body, throwing the mutants backward. The system announced that his genetic unlock level had reached 20%, and the new system was active. Luo had gained a form called Tyrant. Luo went into a rampage, tearing through the monsters like paper and screaming the word kill. He went as far as tearing their skin with his teeth, roaring like a dangerous beast. Pojun became worried, and Shen realized that Luo looked just like she did when she first came out of the vial. She guessed he had lost control just as she had. The monsters actually became spooked, but Luo continued his maniacal rampage, ripping their limbs apart, while panting like an enraged animal. After wiping them all out, he landed in front of Shen. She tried to call his name, but when he turned to her, he roared angrily and leaped at her. Shen confirmed he had lost control. She quickly created an ice shield and shouted for him to wake up, but he slammed into the shield with terrifying force. Shen was paralyzed by his aura, realizing she couldn't move. Suddenly, Luo flashed back to a moment in his past life. He had rescued Shen, and she had asked him how long she had been recovering. He told her nearly 3 months, long enough that she should have healed. She asked if he would come back to the base with her. He refused, telling her he was powerless and would just be dead weight. He added that he didn't want to deal with the people at her base. Shen admitted she had been healed for a while, but she was scared that if they parted, they would never see each other again. He told her not to worry, promising to visit her camp once he was done with his tasks. He assured her they would meet again if fate permitted. Back in the present, Luo's monstrous exterior began to disintegrate. He looked at Shen and whispered, "We finally meet again." Shen was confused by the phrasing but helped him up when he collapsed, asking if he was okay. The other ladies breathed a sigh of relief, realizing the battle was finally over. Everyone was shocked that he had wiped out all the monsters by himself. Pojun watched with envy, wishing he had the power of an awakened so he could be more useful. Recovering quickly, Luo told the ladies to stop standing around. They needed to clean up the site and reassemble the gate to prepare for the next attack. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the city, Anna asked Zhou why he had brought her to such a dump after claiming they were on an important mission. Zhou told her to quit whining. He wouldn't be there if it weren't for Lord Chang's orders. Suddenly, they stood before a giant man. The giant asked Zhou if he had brought him a woman. Anna froze in fear when she saw the behemoth. Zhou told the man to cut the crap. He explained that Lord Chang wanted him to come to the casino immediately. He looked up at the giant, whom he called Sang Bio, and told him to bring anyone he can use. Curious about the title? Leave a comment asking for the name, and I'll make sure to reply and pin it for everyone. Shortly after, a group of soldiers boarded a transport plane, tasked with a mission to occupy Area A and wipe out any opposing factions in their assigned territories. Watching from behind, Xiao and Anna stood by. Anna was thrilled, seeing the massive scale of young Master Chang's influence. However, she felt a twinge of concern regarding the specific group she was with. Rumor had it that these were elite forces deployed specifically to neutralize ability users, a squad known as the Executioners. She couldn't understand why such a high-level unit was being mobilized just to deal with Luo, whom she still considered nothing more than a punk. Eventually, Sang appeared to rally his men. One of the soldiers mentioned that Zhou had described Luo as just a brat, questioning if the kid had even survived the initial mutant outbreak. He asked Sang why they all needed to go for one target. Sang dismissed his concerns, revealing the true objective. He had received intel that there was a hidden lab under the casino where that woman was being kept. The soldiers were terrified. They knew he was referring to Subject K-423, the Ice Queen. Meanwhile, back in the bunker, Shen asked Pojun where Luo was, as she couldn't find him anywhere. Pojun started sweating nervously. He stammered that Luo had said he was going to scout the surroundings after he woke up and would be back soon. Shen was surprised that he had gone out so soon and asked about the state of his body. Pojun assured her that Luo claimed to be fine, though privately, Pojun suspected Luo just didn't want to worry them. Shen protested, arguing that he couldn't possibly be fine, especially since his hair color had drastically changed. Pojun insisted that Luo didn't seem concerned, but Shen wondered why he always insisted on handling everything himself. She asked why he couldn't trust them a little more, wondering if he thought she was too weak to help. Outside, Luo was tearing through the streets, looking like Quicksilver from the X-Men. He smashed through mutants blocking his path using his badass-powered bike. Finally, he reached a vantage point and asked the system to open the map. As he surveyed the area, he confirmed that the city's layout around the meteor crater was split into zones, just as he remembered from his past life. If history repeated itself, ability users and high-level mutants would soon start seizing and merging territories, eventually forming stable power zones over the next few years. Since the casino was still a bit far from the nearest crater, Luo decided it was a decent place to hide and slowly develop, provided he could first clear out the rival ability user factions. As for the mutants, he recalled that there were no Lord-class mutants in this specific area before, but there seemed to be another problem. Luo asked the tyrant system exactly what his ability was and what tyrant actually meant, but he received no answer. Eventually, he asked the system to open his status panel. The system congratulated him. His gene lock had unlocked to level 2. His evolution level was now at 25%. His stats had shot up, and he had gained a unique skill called Tyrant's Wrath. He wondered if this was the skill that had caused him to lose control earlier. He realized that if he hadn't snapped out of it in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. What Shen didn't know was that no external force had been controlling his body. He simply had a pure, unadulterated desire to kill every living being around him. He wondered what had suddenly made him wake up. Was it Shen's completely defenseless posture? Regardless, he suspected this damn system had an agenda of its own. He decided he would just use it as long as it helped him take down Chang. He asked the system for detailed info on Tyrant's Wrath. The system explained that the skill allowed all his stats to increase drastically, letting him crush any fool who dared to face the tyrant head-on. However, Tyrant's Wrath required a high concentration of the virus as a medium. Without it, the host's life force would be severely drained, and control was likely to be lost. The system warned him to use it with caution. Learning about the requirement for high virus concentration, Luo decided to check out the meteor crater. Suddenly, he noticed soldiers being dispatched into the area below. On the ground, a superior officer asked the troops if they had fully searched Area A. They reported the area was clear. The soldiers then addressed their leader, Captain Gu, stating that all civilians should have been sent to the gathering point and asking if they should head back. They had to call her name a few times before she responded. Captain Gu finally snapped out of her thoughts, explaining she had been preoccupied. She confirmed with her men that all civilians found in the South District had been taken to the power plant. She then ordered them to advance toward the meteor crater and stay alert. Suddenly, Gu heard a sound. She asked the others if they heard something like a motorcycle engine. The men were confused. It shouldn't be possible since everyone had been evacuated. They couldn't hear anything over their headsets and the rumble of the armored vehicle's diesel engines. However, Gu soon picked up another sound, a horde of mutants. She ordered her men to prepare for contact. Confused but disciplined, the men took their positions. Moments later, mutants appeared exactly where she had predicted. The soldiers opened fire, blasting away with their tanks and heavy weaponry. Watching from above, Luo was impressed by their intense firepower. He concluded they wouldn't have a problem dealing with these low-level mutants. He remembered that in his past life he had survived thanks to the army's temporary shelter. However, he also recalled that the military soon disappeared and stopped caring about city affairs. He wondered what they had been doing during that time. Soon, a specific monster caught his attention. He realized it was a miner. These were some of the earliest mutants formed in the crater from the meteor impact. Staying near the crater caused crystal-like meteor fragments to grow on their skin. Generally, they like to live in groups within the craters to absorb energy. Luo wondered how this one had ended up here, all alone. A single miner was not to be underestimated. In the past, Luo would have run away, but this time, he pulled up his hood and decided to join the fight. On the battlefield, Captain Gu was shocked to see the miner close the distance instantly, knocking down one of her soldiers and flipping a tank. One soldier stepped out with an RPG to handle it, but the miner impaled him before he could fire. The squad realized the mutant was terrifyingly fast. Gu watched in horror as the corpse of the fallen soldier began to crystallize. When the monster closed in on her, she managed to jump back just before it crushed her, though she fell hard on her side. Coughing, she managed to retrieve the fallen RPG and blasted the monster. It screamed as part of its body was torn off by the intense heat. Gu was excited that it worked, but her hope faded as the monster began to recover, roaring at her. She noticed tentacles growing out of its wound and wondered if the thing was immortal. Suddenly, Gu heard the sound of the bike again. Luo flew in from behind her, riding his bike straight into the monster's face. As he rammed it, he wore a twisted smirk, enjoying the violence a little too much. Using the spinning tires of the bike, he ground the monster's head right off. When he landed, Gu asked him if he was human. Luo immediately recognized her as Guing Yu. He wondered how she had almost been killed by a single miner. Guing Yu ordered her soldiers to lower their guns, confirming he was human. The soldiers were baffled, asking how he could be riding a bike around at such a time and if he was crazy. Luo realized she still didn't know about ability users yet. In his previous life, she was a famous ability user who belonged to a military squad and was known for being friendly to ordinary people. If the military hadn't suddenly withdrawn from the settlement area back then, he knew he and Po Jun could have lived a decent life under their protection. Luo told her they would talk later and turned to face the monster as its head began to reattach itself. The soldiers were shocked that it could resuscitate. Luo told them to move aside. When he stepped up to face the monster head-on, the soldiers whispered that he must be crazy to fight something that had just flipped an armored vehicle. Luo told them to stop talking nonsense and stay out of his way. He drew a blade and sliced the monster's head off clean. Immediately, he covered his body in an electric current and ripped out the monster's crystal core, the prize he had been looking for. This was a highly concentrated crystal core formed from long-term exposure to the meteor zone. Unlike other mutants, the miner's body depended entirely on this core to function. Removing it was the only way to shut it down. Usually, these miners had extra hard virus crystal armor on their bodies, but Gu had blown up the outer shell with the RPG, saving him a lot of trouble. Still, holding the core, Luo wondered why a miner had traveled so far from the meteor crater. Suddenly, the miner began to speak, muttering something about the power being the Lord's apostle. Luo was surprised that the miner could talk, but the beast kept rambling about coming out to look for something it had found. Just then, the tyrant system popped up and activated a hidden mission with unknown content. Luo was getting tired of the system's crap. He realized it wasn't up to any good. The system informed him that he had discovered a talent skill and that this discovery might unlock the next step in his evolution. Luo wondered what a talent skill was, but he also noticed this mission had no time limit and mentioned no penalty for failure. He decided to ignore it for now since he had been outside for a while. He decided to head back, but only after confirming that his new power wouldn't randomly go berserk. The system then informed him that the small crystal fragments scattered on the ground were pieces of the meteor, and it advised him to collect them. He did so. Eventually, Gu coughed to draw his attention, thanking him for saving her squad. She introduced herself as the captain of the city's search and rescue team and asked for his name. Luo knew that the city would soon enter a chaotic period where various factions would violently mark their territories, so he decided it was better not to get involved right now. As he was about to speak, helicopters roared overhead. One of the soldiers asked if they were military choppers. Gu admitted she didn't know what faction they belonged to. Luo told her he had to go. He knew only Chang's people would be showing off like that at a time like this. He realized the supermarket area and his base was in danger, and he needed to get back quickly. As he revved his bike to zoom off, he remembered something. He turned back to Gu and warned her that the noise from those helicopters would drive all the mutants in the area into a frenzy. He told her to be careful, then sped away. Gu thought he was a strange guy. One of her soldiers asked why she let him leave like that. She replied that she had a feeling they would meet again soon. Taking his warning seriously, she ordered her team to prepare for battle. Meanwhile, Chang's men landed near the warehouse. Zhou ordered them to recover all undamaged supplies and to kill any living thing they saw before entering the dungeon. One of the men hesitated in front of the entrance, remarking that it felt unnaturally cold. Suddenly, huge spikes of ice erupted from the ground, knocking the men backward and sealing the entrance. When Zhou saw the ice, he panicked, realizing that subject K-423, the Ice Queen, was awake. He warned the men not to advance and ordered them to retreat to the helicopters. Suddenly, a massive man named Mad Leopard stepped forward, asking Zhou when it became the turn of garbage like him to give orders. Zhou told him to stop acting tough, reminding him that they would all be in deep trouble if anything went wrong with K-423. Mad Leopard summoned another fighter named Iron Fist who complained that troublesome tasks always seemed to fall into his lap. One of Mad Leopard's men, a guy called Drunkard, asked Iron Fist why he was making such a fuss over a single test subject. But a woman named Flying Shadow interrupted, explaining that K-423 was different, She was the most murderous, violent, and uncontrollable of all the test subjects. Apparently, she had already destroyed several labs, leaving no survivors. Even other executioner squads had failed to contain her. That was why the higher-ups had ordered Chang to find a secure place to seal her away. Mad Leopard asked about the kid Zhou had mentioned, the one with spatial abilities, wondering if he had survived the grenade. Zhou speculated that the kid must have accidentally woken K423 while wandering around. He figured the kid was probably dead by now, adding that he was lucky to die quickly rather than face Master Zhou's methods. Iron Fist teased the group for being nervous and declared he would have a good fight with her himself. He started punching the ice wall. Suddenly, Shen appeared and told him to stop. The men were shocked to see her, but she immediately recognized them as the execution squad. She told them she had promised Luo she wouldn't cause any trouble, so she asked them to stay back so she wouldn't have to hurt them. The men were confused. Drunkard asked if they had the wrong person because she was much calmer than the reports described. Zhou was surprised she could talk at all. He wondered how she had regained consciousness and realized that the Luo she referred to must be that annoying kid. Iron Fist scoffed, telling her he wasn't going to wait. He planned to pound her a few times first. As he rushed toward her, one of the men warned him not to be a reckless fool. Shen caught him mid-air with ice spikes, forcing him to yell for Drunkard's support. Drunkard mocked him for acting so brave just seconds ago, then poured alcohol into his mouth and spat out a massive stream of fire. Shen realized Drunkard was a fire ability user and quickly created an ice shield to protect herself. Suddenly, Flying Shadow sliced her shield in two, declaring she would take Shen's life first. Shen was amazed by her speed. As Shen fought, the other entity inside her pressured her to let it take over, whispering that she couldn't win because she was weak and powerless. While she held off Iron Fist with ice spikes, Drunkard blasted her from behind with fire, and Flying Shadow swooped in to attack while her guard was split. The voice in her head kept nagging her, insisting she couldn't do it, but Shen told it to shut up and let her handle this. She blasted them all back with a wave of ice and told them to get lost. Flying Shadow admitted Shen was pretty strong, strength worthy of the legendary K423. She added that she had always wanted to see what kind of woman could make Chang so obsessed. However, she pointed out that Shen was at a dead end. She couldn't keep defending forever. The men told Shen she didn't want to be their enemy and asked her to come back with them, promising Master Chang would take good care of her. The voice inside Shen screamed at her to kill them all, calling her a useless fool who couldn't help Luo like this. Shen began to struggle under the pressure to unleash her other side, but she knew only Luo could stop that entity if it came out. She desperately wondered where he was. Meanwhile, Luo was riding his bike toward the area at breakneck speed. He blasted through a group of Chang's men who were discussing reports. The survivors pointed their guns at him, unsure of who he was. Luo realized there were quite a number of them. He considered using his stored electricity to fry them all at once, but hesitated. Suddenly, a grenade dropped from above and blasted the men away. Luo was surprised to see Po Jun emerge. Po Jun explained that Zhou had brought a group of ability users to attack, and that Shen had gone to stop them. He said he had slipped out through a back door of the casino. He urged Luo to go help Shen while he handled the small fries outside. Luo rushed toward the entrance, telling Po Jun not to let a single one of them escape. Po Jun cocked his gun with a smile and said he understood. Inside, Shen was being ambushed by the three fighters again. Mad Leopard remarked that he hadn't really needed to come along, as it seemed K423 couldn't live up to her fearsome reputation. Zhou, however, felt something was wrong. He noted that while she didn't seem to have a strong desire to attack, she was still holding her ground against three elite fighters. He knew they couldn't stop her at all if she decided to run. He wondered if she was guarding something or waiting for someone. Drunkard jokingly mentioned the little boyfriend Zhou said K423 had, suggesting she might be waiting for him to save her. He told her she was going to be disappointed because Luo was just some reckless kid who didn't understand anything and had probably run off to hide by now. He blasted her with a much larger stream of fire, telling her to taste his ultimate flame. The intense heat caused Shen's ice wall to melt. She retreated, realizing the entire supermarket was becoming a furnace where normal ice could barely form. It was becoming too dangerous to continue holding back. She decided to let the other her take over. Suddenly, a hand placed itself on her back. Luo pushed her gently out of the way as he blocked the fire with a shield. While Drunkard watched in confusion, Luo rammed the shield directly into his face, telling him he was asking for death. He crushed the fool's face with the shield and smashed him into the ground, blood gushing out. The others watched in shock as Luo turned to face them with a smirk. Zhou began to activate his powers, calling Luo a little brat that won't die, and asking how he dared to show up here. He mocked Luo, asking how he ended up looking so pathetic. Luo retorted, asking Zhou with the scar if he wasn't going to run away with his tail between his legs, now that he had brought so many helpers. Zhou demanded to know how Luo knew his nickname. Mad Leopard interrupted, telling them both to stop yapping and ordering his men to deal with this guy. Mad Leopard thought about how many resources he had wasted raising a useless drunkard, and he spat, calling his entire team trash. He warned them to kill Luo immediately, or he would torture them to death when they got back. Galvanized by the threat, Flying Shadow jumped back into the fight after Luo took out Iron Fist. Luo shouted for Shen to step back, noticing she seemed hesitant to use her full power. Shen explained that there was no need to worry. She had realized that the other her was actually afraid of Luo. As long as he was there, she didn't need to hold back. She unleashed her other persona and leaped toward Flying Shadow, who instantly realized something had changed in Shen's aura. Meanwhile, Zhou rushed to attack Luo, calling him a brat. He asked how Luo still had the nerve to show his face, throwing a punch while mocking him for thinking K423 would protect him. Luo returned the punch instantly. To Zhou's horror, Luo's fist smashed his metallic hand to pieces. Luo smirked, asking if Zhou really thought bringing just one execution squad would be enough. Zhou was shocked. This guy's strength was on a completely different level than just 2 days ago. Before he could react, Luo landed a punch squarely on his face, knocking him backward several feet. Luo stepped forward to finish him off, but he suddenly froze. His body felt incredibly heavy. It turned out to be Mad Leopard's doing. He told Luo that was enough. He couldn't let Scarface die, or Master Chang would scold him. Zhou stumbled to his feet, demanding to know why Mad Leopard had waited so long to make a move. Ignoring Zhou, Mad Leopard told Luo he liked his stubbornness. Since Drunkard was dead, he offered Luo a job, promising to put in a good word for him with Chang. Luo realized this guy was a gravity ability user. He wondered why he had never heard of someone with this power working for Chang in his previous life. Bored, Luo asked Mad Leopard why villains always use such cliché lines, telling him to try a different script. Annoyed, Mad Leopard increased the gravity pressure, telling Luo to take some time to think it over before his bones were crushed to dust. Meanwhile, Po Jun finished taking out the grunt soldiers outside. He felt embarrassed that one of them had managed to injure him, realizing that being out of practice for so long had made him rusty. Suddenly, he noticed smoke rising from his wound. To his disbelief, the injury completely healed as if it had never been there. Po Jun stared at his arm, unable to believe his eyes. Inside the bunker, one of the girls pointed out that Shen and Po Jun had been gone for a long time, nervously asking if they might already be dead. Another girl snapped at her not to talk nonsense, insisting that they were strong. A third girl admitted she was terrified of being captured and taken back to that hellish place, declaring she would rather die right there. However, she added that it was too early to lose hope. If Lord Luo could make it back, they had a chance. Outside the warehouse, Luo continued to be crushed by the overwhelming weight of Mad Leopard's power. Shen, noticing his struggle, became distracted. Seizing the opening, Flying Shadow attacked Shen from behind, shouting at her to focus on the fight and stop worrying about her boyfriend. Before Flying Shadow could land the hit, Shen countered with her ice sword, calmly stating that she wasn't worried about Lord Luo at all. Flying Shadow was shocked to see Shen had sliced through her blade. Shen told her that they had no idea what kind of terrifying monster they had provoked. She moved to stab Flying Shadow, who barely managed to dodge. Shen admitted that her speed was impressive. Flying Shadow retorted that she would show Shen just how powerful she really was, boasting that Shen couldn't keep up with her speed or hurt her. But Shen simply blasted her with ice spikes without moving a muscle. Shocked, Flying Shadow tried to dodge, but she still took a hit to the face. Suddenly, Iron Fist jumped in, shattering some of the ice and reminding Shen not to forget about him. He moved in with a punch, but Shen just smiled and blocked it effortlessly with an ice shield. Luo found this strange. Shen's strength should have ended this fight already. He wondered if she was holding back or if her ability was just a bad match for the crazy speedster woman. Suddenly, Zhou kicked Luo in the face, telling him to stop pretending and looking away. He screamed that K423 belonged to Master Chang, and told Luo to stop daydreaming. Luo just smiled, returned the punch, and told Zhou he was getting too full of himself. Mad Leopard was shocked that Luo could still move under the multiplied gravity. Luo asked him if he realized what was happening. He told Mad Leopard that the slow energy pressing evenly on his body was delicious, and he couldn't resist absorbing it. He had just been playing along with the performance. Apparently, Luo had been absorbing the energy the whole time and had reached 91% capacity. He asked Mad Leopard if this was all he had. Mad Leopard admitted that Luo's ability was strange, so he slammed his fist into the ground to give Luo a real taste of power. The attack fractured the earth, causing debris and rocks to start floating. Po Jun arrived just in time to see the chaos, wondering what on earth was going on. Iron Fist noticed the gravity disorder and complained that the boss could have given them a heads up. Shen also felt her body become incredibly heavy, realizing Mad Leopard's range was massive. Zhou shouted for Mad Leopard to wait until he got out of range. Ignoring them, Mad Leopard boasted to Luo that this was his ability, gravity control. He told Luo to blame himself for making him angry and to prepare to be crushed. Luo slammed a kick into Mad Leopard's face, asking if he was done rambling because he wasn't interested in his resume. Mad Leopard recovered quickly, repaying the hit with a heavy punch. He asked Luo if he thought gravity was only for crushing people. Luo was knocked back, surprised. Mad Leopard told him he had underestimated him. He manipulated the gravity around Luo, tearing at his body and pressing him into the ground. He explained that the gravitational fields within his range contained many small areas of intense tearing force. Even if Luo's muscles could handle the pressure, his internal organs couldn't. Since Luo now knew his power, Mad Leopard told him to convince K-423 to surrender as well. Luo considered the situation. Mad Leopard's ability sounded familiar. He suddenly remembered. This was the ability of the famous Lord-class mutant from the East District, Skinface. Luo realized why he had never heard of a gravity user working for Chang in his previous life. Based on the timeline of Skinface's appearance, Mad Leopard was destined to lose control of his abilities very soon. Luo stood up, dusting himself off. He told Mad Leopard he had misunderstood him. He realized now that Mad Leopard wasn't attacking with full force because he didn't dare to reveal his other side. Shocked, Mad Leopard wondered how the kid knew, but he quickly tried to cover it up, telling Luo to stop talking nonsense. Luo pressed on, asking if Chang knew about his unstable condition. He pointed out that Chang definitely wouldn't keep useless trash around if he knew the truth. He challenged Mad Leopard to take off his hood and prove that his mutation level was still within controllable limits. His words struck a nerve. Mad Leopard, whose eyes were already mutated, snapped. He screamed at Luo to shut up, declaring himself the chosen one and the future of humanity. He refused to believe a godlike ability could cause him to mutate and swore he would never go back to the lab. Mad Leopard promised to crush Luo to death, but Luo leaped toward him, declaring that playtime was over. In his past life, Luo had been careful, studiously researching mutants to avoid them. He had always hidden in settlements protected by ability users and had never encountered high-level mutants, let alone Skinface, a legendary regional lord. But now, he was excited to finally meet one. Luo transformed into his tyrant form. He grabbed Mad Leopard by the throat, telling him he wasn't interested in his future. He said it was better to kill him early and save everyone the trouble, ensuring the East District would be a more peaceful place. Suddenly, the system alerted Luo, detecting Quasi-Lord Mutant reaction. A side mission updated. Defeat the Quasi-Lord class mutant about to appear. The rewards were body enhancement points and a random skill enhancement. Luo joked that the system kept giving him more work for such cheap rewards. Mad Leopard began his full transformation. Iron Fist wondered why their boss seemed a bit off. Shen closed in on Iron Fist as he turned around, ready to strike. But just as she was about to hit him, Flying Shadow appeared again, slashing through her ice with another sword. She told Shen that she was her opponent. Flying Shadow called Shen an uncontrollable crazy female dog, bitter that Shen received so much favor from the higher-ups just because she had awakened a powerful natural-type ability. She screamed that they had all suffered terribly because of her. Flying Shadow vowed to kill Shen, declaring that all her previous resources and special treatment, along with Master Chang's favor, would soon be hers. Her jealousy was palpable. Unfazed, Shen simply asked if she was just another victim, like the other girls in the dungeon. Meanwhile, Iron Fist rushed to help his boss, but Mad Leopard, whose mind was already fracturing, snapped at him, asking if he was there to mock him too. He grabbed Iron Fist by the throat, accusing him of wanting to kill him and steal his position. Then, in a horrific display, he bit Iron Fist's head clean off. Luo realized the guy had gone completely insane. Zhou stood frozen, unable to believe what he was seeing as Mad Leopard began to feast on Iron Fist's body. Realizing the situation was hopeless, Joe decided to bail. He wondered if the medicine from that mysterious organization still carried side effects even after an awakening. He knew he had to hurry back and warn Master Chang, but just as he turned to flee, Po-jun stepped in his way, telling him it was a little too late to escape.
And that's where we wrap up today's video. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss out the next video. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, leave your comment down below. Also, don't forget to drop a like to support our channel and subscribe to stay updates everything that comes out. See you next time. Bye bye and big hug to everyone. I am out.